Going on, guys? Welcome back to another realignment video on the channel. If you're a consistent viewer, you'll already know that we've done the NFL, the MLB, the NCAA. And if you haven't watched those already, you should probably go do that. I think you'll like them because today we are adding another stone to the Infinity Gauntlet. But before I get into this is just for fun. This is just for fun. Not trying to suggest how this should be, or do I don't think it's going to be better as an alternative. It's just for fun. So, with that said, don't take it too seriously. There might be some rivalries sacrificed in here because of geographic positioning. But with that out of the way, let's jump into our NHL realignment. The National Hockey League, one of the biggest sports leagues in North America that continues to grow as time goes on. Not only is it expanding rapidly, as we've seen 2 expansion teams in the last 7 years, 3 if you want to count the Utah Hockey Club, even though that's not really an expansion team.
No, not you, Seamus.
Ah, poo.
Shitty name, by the way. The NHL has teams from both the United States and Canada, totaling out to 32 teams. These days, the league is split into 2 conferences, each with 2 divisions of 8 teams, but due to the expansion and evolution of the league, the NHL is no stranger to realignments, and even pretty recently. So today, we're going to do it again. Now is the time when I ask you to say your goodbyes to the NHL as you know it, because while everything will be named the same, the teams will be different. Now, let's start off with the Western Conference. Well, for the Western Conference, everything's going to stay the same. But if you don't really watch a ton of hockey, I'll go over the divisions. In the Pacific Division, we have the Edmonton Oilers, Calgary Flames, Vancouver Canucks, Seattle Kraken, San Jose Sharks, Los Angeles Kings, Anaheim Ducks, and Vegas Golden Knights. This is basically a West Coast kind of conference, which is the approach I would have taken anyway. We have rivalries like the Battle of the Northwest with the Canucks and Kraken, the Battle of Alberta with the Oilers and Flames, the freeway face-off between the Kings and Ducks, along with the other previously established divisional rivalries. I'm not going to highlight all the rivalries since I didn't do anything to this division, but I'm sure if you're watching this and you're probably a hockey fan, so you know what the rivalries are. And can't get mad at me for splitting any of them up. But the biggest takeaway from this division is that we have 3 California teams together, as well as 3 Canadian teams that reside in the 2 most western provinces in the league. In the Central Division, we have the Utah Hockey Club, still a dumb name. I think the Yeti should have won. Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Stars, Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild, Chicago Blackhawks, St. Louis Blues, and Nashville Predators. Like I said, this division is going to remain untouched. We have another installment of the Chicago versus Minnesota market rivalry with the Blackhawks and Wild, and the Blackhawks stay with a familiar foe in the Blues, who have been in the same division since basically 1970. There aren't any teams from the same state in this division, so while it does feel kind of spread out, the current alignment suits it best. Now we can get into some changes, because we're going into the Eastern Conference. Let's start in the Atlantic Division, which will still look pretty familiar, but with a name swap, where we have the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Carolina Hurricanes, Washington Capitals, Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Columbus Blue Jackets, and the New Jersey Devils. This division sees the Battle of Florida with the Panthers and Lightning retaining their in-state rivalry, and we get to keep another one in Pennsylvania with the Penguins and Flyers. In this division, we basically swapped out 2 teams from the current alignment. So with the addition of the Lightning and the Panthers into the Metropolitan Division, now renamed the Atlantic Division, we moved the Islanders and the Rangers to what we now know as our Metropolitan Division, where they will be joining the Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres, Ottawa Senators, Montreal Canadiens, Boston Bruins, and Detroit Red Wings. The Metropolitan Division is made up of mainly northeastern US states and southeastern Canadian provinces, where we'll retain the Battle of Ontario with the Maple Leafs and the Senators, and the Battle of the QEW with the Sabres and Maple Leafs, and the hate triangle between the Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal Canadiens, and Boston Bruins, along with our other previously established divisional rivalries. All right, so that's the end of my NHL realignment concept. Part 1. Because I didn't make many changes in the first concept, I decided to put an additional one in here because simple mathematics tells me that 4 times 8 equals 32. Therefore, 8 times 4 equals 32. So I see this as an opportunity to do a realignment with a little bit more activity going on and give you more things to be pissed off about. So in our second realignment, we will have 8 divisions of 4 teams, and I'm just going to run through this pretty quickly. First, we have the Western Conference once again, starting with the Northwest Division. We have the Edmonton Oilers, Calgary Flames, Vancouver Canucks, and Seattle Kraken. Kind of covered it earlier, but the 3 most Western Canadian teams, along with the Kraken, who play right outside of Vancouver. Down to the Pacific Division, we have the San Jose Sharks, Los Angeles Kings, Anaheim Ducks, and Vegas Golden Knights. 3 California teams and the Golden Knights, who are only a few hours away. Over in the Central Division, we have the Utah Hockey Club, Colorado Avalanche, Dallas Stars, and St. Louis Blues. This one's still a little bit spread out in comparison to the other ones, but with Utah and Colorado being close to one another and Dallas to fill the gap between them and St. Louis, still works out. Up a little bit, we have the Midwest Division, where we have the Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild, Chicago Blackhawks, and Detroit Red Wings. Not really sure how this name works out with a Canadian team being in here, but Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago don't like each other. Add in the Jets, who are right above Minnesota and Winnipeg. And then we move to the Eastern Conference. Starting it off in the Northeast Division, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres, Ottawa Senators, and Montreal Canadiens. We've got 3 Canadian clubs butting heads, as well as the closest team to Toronto from the United States. Down to the Atlantic Division we go, where we have the Boston Bruins, New York Rangers, New York Islanders, and New Jersey Devils. A couple doses of the Boston and New York rivalry with New Jersey, just a subway trip away from New York. Nearby in the Metropolitan Division, we have the Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Washington Capitals. We've got a little bit of a battle in the Keystone State and some close opponents nearby. Couldn't really think of anything for this one, if I'm being honest. But to round it out in the Southeast Division, we have the Nashville Predators, Carolina Hurricanes, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Florida Panthers. Both Florida teams stay together in this division, as well as some other fellow Southern states up in Tennessee and North Carolina. So now that we have so many divisions, how are we going to decide our new playoff format? Current playoff format sits at the top 3 finishes in each division, along with 2 wildcard teams to total to a 16-team playoff. To honor that 16-team playoff, we will be taking 4 division winners and an additional 4 wildcard teams per conference. 4 wildcard teams seems pretty weird, but hey, so does the rest of this video. So that was my NHL realignment. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you would realign it in a different way, let me know down in the comments below. But that's all I've got for you guys today. So until the next video, see you later.